That can crack means it's time to begin. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you all had a good New Year. Happy New Year, Casey. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yep, first live stream of the year. And Januaries are always an interesting time. Interesting good or interesting bad? I'll share with you guys. I've been trading for about a decade now. Oh, actually, this is going to be 11 years that I've been trading professionally. And Januaries, I have had some very interesting Januaries. You either make a lot of money or you dig yourself into a hole. So I tend to actually take it pretty easy in January. But I've already made some moves this week. Some good trading examples and the methods that I use that I'm going to be able to talk about in live stream today. So I'm kind of excited about that. As always, if you've got questions, if you've got symbols to look at, that's why I do this live stream, is to crowdsource ideas, because I can't look at everything. One of the things that I looked at this week was Walgreens, WBA, Walgreens Boots Alliance. And that came from an old alert system that I had for volatility, like volatility on S&P stocks. And so I try to have as many indicators, not indicators. I try to have different scanners that alert me to opportunities, but nothing is better than the eyes of my live stream and my Discord community. I do this every week, most weeks except holidays, streaming on YouTube, TradingView, and Discord. So links below. I don't charge for any of that, and I don't ask for any money on Patreon. That's kind of my brand. I just look, I'm going to make my money from trading. That's my objective, and that's what I'm going to do. All right. So yeah, if you guys have things you want to look at or ideas, because a lot of good ideas have come from this stream every Friday that I do it, and I really do it to give back and help people learn about what I think is going to be useful in trading. What works for me, what I think is useful, that's what I want to share to people. So if you have any questions about the concepts, I talk about spikes or 50% retracements. I tried to talk to him in detail this week and the week before. I mean, there was a big post that I had back in December talking about my Bitcoin short. And we're going to do a little update on that because there was an update this week. There was a spike on the daily. And so far, nothing has really come of it. It hasn't produced a reversal. I've had some friends actually challenge me on it. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to try to be as self-aware as I can be about the Bitcoin short. And of course, there was the Walgreens post that I made, much less popular than, let's say, a Bitcoin post. But I think it might be a good opportunity now. So let's jump into it. All right. Well, actually, I'll take some things right now. Actually, let me ask you something. I'll look at your stuff here in a second, GIG. Jen, what were you talking about that you took profit? Were you short WBA? Is that what happened? Oh, wait. So you... All right, so WBA, you bought near the bottom back around 20 because, yeah, this has been hitting lows week. Oh, I see. So you where'd you buy it? Where'd you buy it? Oh, October? Well, okay. Sorry. All right, let's talk about this trade. So I wanted to jump into this. So this is a post that I made on TradingView, and I tried to be very explanatory in my methodology. You know, if you look at my charts, if you watch my live stream, if you've been here for a long time, you already know I like very simple charts. I'll remove everything just to give myself a clear picture because I've kind of internalized the methods that I use, and they're very simple. They're very simple. I rely on 50% retracements and false breakouts. The operative technique in here is 50% retracements. And rather than read this out, I'm just going to go through this trade and explain what I'm thinking. All right, first of all, I know that a lot of people that trade, they like to get down on like the 5-minute chart or the 1-minute chart and find trades. But not even the daily is where this begins. This really begins on the weekly. Like I said, I got a volatility alert because they had earnings. Was it yesterday or Wednesday? It was yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday, Walgreens Boots Alliance (WBA) had earnings, and that was a move of, let's see, how much was that move from the close down to the low? Yeah, so it basically triggers anytime there's a S&P 500 stock that moves 10% in a day. I'm going to give myself an alert. It's just good to know when something has moved bigly. And when I got the alert and I took a look at it, I noticed something very, very important. Now, this red line that you see on my chart is typically the only indicator that you're going to see on my chart at any given time. What this red line is based upon is Ichimoku. It's the Ichimoku Tenkan-sen. I'm not Japanese, so I'm probably mispronouncing that. But it is essentially the 9-bar 50% level, 9-bar median. You know, like the median is that thing in the middle of the road, the thing that I hit with my car a couple of weeks ago because I was driving my own car rather than let the autopilot drive. And so what that red line is showing us is the 50% of 9 bars. I'm going to go through pretty detailed on this actually, because one of the things that I want to do, I think I'm not going to make a resolution to it, but I'm going to really actually make an effort to try to clip some stuff out and make it into some video content, especially teaching moments like that. So let me rephrase. Okay. So just a quick recap. So the red line is the 9-period median. It's the middle. So basically, if we go 1 bar all the way out to 9 bars, that is the range that this is going to be based upon. Of course, the low of that range and the high of that range is going to be there, and that's going to be where that red line on the weekly goes flat, or is basically the middle. And you'll see where earnings this week dropped it down, broke below it a little bit, but right around Thursday when I noticed that it was right at that red line, this is what I want to see when I'm looking for trend reversal. A lot of people talk about catching the falling knife, per se. That's when you're trying to buy something as it's going down, trying to catch that bottom, and well, thank you for that comment, RV. So you're trying to catch that knife, but what I like to do is this. That red line to me really encapsulates the trend. In the case of a bearish trend, you'll notice that it has come back and respected that red line many, many times and held below it since basically May of last year. You had a little bit of a violation here, but I'll go into why this would not be necessarily the buy that I would want to take in just a moment. We got to go up a time frame to look at that. But now we see a good solid break of that red line and a pullback thereof. That's good. That's what I want to see. That's a really good reversal pattern for me. I call this is my word for it. This is my thing that we talk about, my friends and I, on Discord. This is called a TS recap. In other words, a TS recapture. And essentially what that is, let's just write this thing out right here. Let's make this a teaching moment. So price breaks the red line, which is the 9-period median, the Tenkan-sen. I know that's how it's spelled. I don't know how it's pronounced in Japanese. Okay, so that's the first element to it. Let's number this out. And then what we want to do is we want to look for a, yeah, I'll do this all in the same thing. Take a pullback trade to the flat red line. And that's going to be our entry point. Can I go bigger than that? No, I can't. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So how are we going to structure our trade now that we have our entry? We need to have a stop. We need to have a target. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the big trend that got us down to this point. Now, we could use the swing high in December of 2022, a year ago. That's fair. That's acceptable. But this is a weekly chart, and I'm thinking about this as a long-term trade. And I took shares. So really, this trend right here, to me, it begins all the way back in 2021. That's really when this started in earnest. I'm going to use this high instead of this one because this is really, to me, more of the bear trend right here. This is what got us here, okay? And so that's going to be the one that I use as a potential target. But we could use, if we're more conservative, the 50% from here to here. Either way, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we can use the trading view long tool to have our entry right there. I like to get a 3-to-1 in pretty much anything that I do. And so what we can do is we can check and see, all right, if we use that as our target, 37.34, the 50% of this trend, can we get a 3-to-1 if we have a stop below that low? Because let's face it, if Walgreens makes another low, then it's still in what I call the valley of risk. The valley of risk is essentially what happens when something gets going down like this. You don't know when the stop's going to be, where it's going to stop, when it's going to turn around. And so, yeah, you're just in a valley of darkness, and anything you do is going to be wrong. Hey, what's up, Mickey Mouse? Welcome to the stream. By the way, again, if you're just joining, if you have symbols to look at, get it in the chat. We'll look at them towards the last part of the stream. I'm going to go through the trades this week, and this is one of them, and then we'll start talking about y'all's. All right. So target the 50% of the trend. Let's just say prior trend. Let's say target profit. It's going to be your first take profit. You might want to hold it longer. Who knows? And then your stop below the major low, giving a 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio. And that is how I would structure a TS recap trade. All right. Now, I want to have some context to back up this trade. In other words, I like for something like this to happen at its own 50% level or at some other price inflection point. All right, so got your screenshot. By the way, guys, if you don't know, you can go into TradingView right here and download the image or copy the image and paste it. I love TradingView. I love TradingView. TradingView is just awesome. They just keep getting better and better, and they don't pay me to say that either. I love it. All right, so we're going to save that because I'm going to delete this because it's going to get distorted, and we're going to go up to a time frame I don't think many people even look at, but it's very important to look at in this case. So this is a monthly chart. We don't need my spikes right now. This is a monthly chart, a monthly chart. And this goes all the way back to 2000. So the low of the year 2000 was here, March 2000, and then the low of the 2008 crash was here. So where are we now on WBA? Now, I know they've probably merged and done some things to affect their share price, but in terms of price action, basically WBA is coming off of a multi-decade low. And so that's the context that really gives me extra oomph to the trade. Like you can take a TS recap in isolation, trying to catch the bottom of a trend, but you want it to happen at a point that makes sense. And so to me, this makes sense as a good trade to start off the year. Hashtag this is not financial advice, of course. But I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people have been sitting in this stock for a very long time. If they've been long-term hurling it, man, they've just been hurting. It's down a bunch since 2016. Who knows? Who knows? What's up, Amer? All right. Any questions? You guys just put in the chat. Let's go. I'm gonna go back and check. I don't want to miss anything people put in. Did I mute Discord? No. Live stream ended on TradingView. You may need to refresh. Hold on. Let me check. I've been talking here, and let me check and see. What? Hang on. No. Okay. So you just need to refresh. Let's see here. Let me tell people that. So, yeah, whenever TradingView ends or has a problem, typically a refresh will fix it. I should probably note that. Yeah, I just saw that now, Jen. Alrighty. Let's see. It's up for me now. Let me do another refresh right here. It says we have a few online. 35. Okay. Well, some things you can help. Some things you can't. All right. So let's look at for the next topic of discussion. Let's go into Bitcoin, everybody's favorite. So, in case you haven't been, what do you think about? Okay, I get your natural gas thing. We'll take a look at it in just a second. So let me clean up my chart here. In case you have been living under a rock, Bitcoin has been bullish all through 2023. So let's do a quick recap of Bitcoin's price action. A tertiary technique that I use in trading is Ichimoku, especially Ichimoku cloud breakouts. And we had a cloud breakout back in January, a year ago, on January 13th. That's what I would have classified as a cloud breakout. It qualifies as that when price gets above the daily cloud with momentum, the Chikou or lagging span, whatever you want to call it, coming out as well. And then, of course, in March, when everyone was convinced that banks were going to fail, it pulled back to the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, which Ichimoku is based upon 50% retracements. Actually, let's go all the way down to low there. Boop. There we go. That is one of the reasons that I love 50% retracement so much, is because I traded with Ichimoku for years and years and years, and I discovered that that is the key point of Ichimoku is 50% retracements. A lot of people only use a lot of different Fibonacci's. I'm not going to say that's wrong. I just have, I think, a small capacity for looking at things on charts, and I like to keep them clean. I like to keep it clean. And so that basically was a trend. There was a little bit of malaise in the summer last year, but finally it broke out. And with all this ETF news, people are rushing to try to front run Wall Street. That seems to be the meme, because I've been told again and again and again, this is not a sell the news event. This time it's different. This time it's different. And then this week we got, as you can see, a firing of my spike indicator. What a spike is, I just saw the TradingView stream go offline again. If you hit refresh, it comes right back though. Let's see. What about YouTube? YouTube doing pretty good. I think it is. All right. So yeah, it just dropped on me. You basically just need to refresh TradingView if it drops. Now this isn't a great big spike, but basically the concept of a spike or a false breakout is where price breaks above, let's say, a consolidation range. This is basically the consolidation range right here. From here to here, that is going to be basically where it hung out for most of December. And of course, I started looking to short Bitcoin as it came up to the 50% retracement of the all-time high down to the November low, somewhere around 42,200. And that's basically where it's kind of hung out this whole time. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I do believe this is going to be a sell the news type of event. Number two, I've been trading Bitcoin for a very, very long time. And I remember back in the last bull run of 2018, we had a similar bullish move in 2019, which everyone thought was going to be the next all-time high run, but then we had this little flu that went around and panicked everybody about everything, and that brought the price of Bitcoin, killed the bullish trend. Well, okay, COVID didn't kill the bullish trend. The bullish trend in Bitcoin basically just petered out over the course of the last half of 2019. Got a little resurgence here, but then COVID really messed it up. Brought it all the way back down to almost the lows of earlier in 2019. And so I see, and if I use Ichimoku and we look at the monthly, I see a definite similarity in the pattern of, here, let's just do this. Let's use the backup feature. There we go. I see a definite similarity in the pattern of Bitcoin. I also see a similar psychological pattern in a lot of the participants, because a lot of people that got into Bitcoin got interested in it when it was on the run up. You know, they bought more of it. Maybe they got in for the first time. Or you have a lot of people that were hodling and they saw that all-time high and they're like, oh, I should have taken profit. And now they spent several months in the depths of a bear market. And finally now they're getting a resurgence. They're getting a resurgence to restore hope. And yes, put yourself in the mind of someone that's in 2019. You're back to about break even on whatever probably your cost basis is from the 2017 run up. And you're really, really excited that, okay, I've been patient and I'm going to be rewarded for my good patience. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Now, there's a lot of volatility around that 50% level from the all-time high to that bearish move right there. But in the end, it held it. Now, of course, there's some differences now. There's a lot of differences. This time it is different. It's always different. But it's always kind of the same too. And so, of course, we had COVID that happened. So let me just take it, because people love to superimpose past price action onto present to paint the narrative they're trying to paint. And yes, I'm painting a bearish narrative, but that's because I want to be honest with it. And another word for that is contrarian. And people say that if I'm contrary to Bitcoin, I'm just to the mainstream. But I think I've come up with my own word for it. It's contra-contrarian. And so let's just take a screenshot of this. Copy image. And now let's look at what the monthly looks like now. Clean all this up. And so this is what our monthly looks like now. So just like we had in 2017 run up and then a hit, basically a false new all-time high rally. I don't think people are really considering this. I mean, yeah, anything can happen, but you have your big run up, you have your bear trend, and then you have the move back up. Psychologically, it's getting everyone conditioned that, okay, things are going to be fine, things are going to be great. I've been patient, I'm going to get rewarded. This was just a little bump in the road. And yes, over the long term, Bitcoin will probably go up. But I think that probably right now, buying Bitcoin is one of the dangerous points I can think of because of this ETF launching. Because everyone is so focused on the potential bullishness of all this capital coming into Bitcoin because of an ETF, which actually doesn't make sense to me. Because right now you can already get Bitcoin. Boomers that can't understand Bitcoin can still get it in their IRA if they wanted it. I don't know many boomers that want it, but GBTC has been around for a long time. It very effectively mirrors it. There's some differences about the discount and premium that have happened because it's not a real ETF. But another one, this is one that I'm using, or I was using, to buy puts to express a bearish thesis, and that's BITO. I mean, this is a ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF. It is an ETF. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is between this and whatever BlackRock is trying to put out. And then again, we have the BITI, which is the short Bitcoin strategy, which also gave me the spike symbol earlier this week, the same as Bitcoin did. And so there's a lot of ways that you can already get Bitcoin in your ETF as an ETF. And so I make sure to put myself in these Bitcoin chats to kind of get a finger on the pulse of what people are saying. And it's a lot of hype. It's just a lot of hype. It's just a lot of hype. I mean, if you wanted to get Bitcoin in your IRA, you can already. It's not that hard. Does it open up for more investment? Maybe. But I think now the factor is it's priced in. And that's what I'm operating on. I could be wrong. And where I'll be wrong is if we actually come up and break this high that we made on Tuesday of this week. We're not far away, but then again, we're not far away from breaking. Now, I had a friend of mine challenge me on this. You know, he's an old Ichimoku trading friend of mine, and he said, "Hey, man, I know you want to be bearish and everything, but if you notice, Bitcoin on its little tank on Wednesday came down, kissed the cloud, and held it." He's right. He's right. That is somewhat of a bullish sign. It basically came down, the cloud acting as a type of sort of the dynamic support in classic Ichimoku fashion. Could very well be. If this does go up, then we can say that that was, in fact, the support that it came down and held. We shall see. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, that's for sure. But this is a spike that I would take in any other chart, whether it was Bitcoin or not. So that's to update for Bitcoin. And I welcome people to challenge me. And like I said, my friend, he pointed this out to me. He said, "Hey, I know you're short. I know you got a lot of ego invested in this. I'm being self-aware here because I don't like the direction that Bitcoin has gone." Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Let's see. 1 second. Hold on. Let's see. Well, I was trying to find a meme. 1 second. Let's see if I can find it. Bitcoin meme. Yeah, I'll find it and post it later. Basically, the meme is something to this extent. It's this one right here. the spaceman meme where the guy's saying like, wait, Bitcoin was always just number go up, or excuse me, Bitcoin is just number go up, always has been, essentially. Yeah, a lot of people are just, it's basically a very good tool for personal wealth generation. It is. It is. It's a store of value, but it doesn't produce any value. It's not really useful. We can't use it as a currency because the Bitcoin transaction fees are going through the roof because the Lightning Network is no longer valid because of a potential weakness in it, a potential exploit. So back to the drawing board, the devs are trying to figure out how to make Bitcoin useful. But in the meantime, it's great to just buy and earn money on. All right, let's look at some symbols. Again, if you guys have things to look at, post in the chat now so that we can go through them. The reason I do this live stream is to crowdsource ideas. If you think I'm wrong about Bitcoin, tell me. I want to take in as much information as I can, ideas that I can't find on my own. So let's look through some of the things that you guys want to look at, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of the stream here. All right, let me scroll up, make sure I definitely didn't miss any of Jen's. Let's see. GIG, I know you came in first. All right, let's take a look at Microsoft. You know what? The new acronym, yesteryear it was FANG, but what's the new acronym? It's MAM. I think the acronym used to be FANG: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Oh, okay, yeah. So now FANG has become MAMA. So it's now Meta, Amazon, Apple. Oh, wait, so Netflix. Oh, yeah. Microsoft is one. Yeah, okay, so they added Microsoft in there. So it's Meta, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet. There's the other A. Netflix. Wait, that doesn't spell mama. Well, whatever. Microsoft is in there. But yeah, tech stocks. Apple has also been kind of faltering a little bit. I mean, I'll look at this technically, but let me take a step back for a second and ask the rhetorical question. What are we looking at for tech? Okay. What are we looking at for tech? I mean, if we look at the S&P 500 for last year, it did make, at least on futures, a new all-time high. SPY did not. Let me zoom out. See, I don't like dirty charts. I'm going to clean up. Feels so much better. All right, so if we look at SPY, the ETF of the S&P 500, it did not quite make a new all-time high. Futures did. But QQQ, which represents a lot of the tech stocks, it most certainly did break the all-time high. And now, you talk about false breakouts. We are in danger of a false breakout. So let's talk about, I'm going to do Microsoft specifically, but we got to talk about tech, and we got to talk about the January effect. Okay. So with stocks, what statistically happens, hold on, stocks, so goes January. So what January effect, there we go. The January effect is a hypothesis. There's a seasonal anomaly in financial markets, increase some more. No, that's not what I'm talking about. No. I'm not going to pull up anything. I'll tell you what it is. So January, they say, as goes the month of January, so goes the year. That is true in about 75% of the years. If we go back 100 years on the stock market, it's not 100%, but a significant majority of the years where January is bullish, the stock market is bullish. January is bearish, the stock market is bearish. Let's look back at recent history. So January of 2023 was bullish. January of 2022 was bearish, and those years fit to a T. Of course, 2020 was an abnormality because, of course, it was a bullish January, and then we had COVID. But actually, you know what? No, it's not. Even though we had COVID in 2020, the year still closed higher. So yeah, January bullish year. And of course, 2021, let's see, was 2021 that? So that started, and then, hold on. Started here, ended, I need to go on a daily here. I think that 2021, I want to find out, was 2021 an aberration, or was that indicative? Hold on. So January the 4th, there we go. No, it opened up here, and then by the end, yeah, so it was like down 0.23%. So technically, it was a bearish January that ended up being a bullish year. So not 100%, but very likely. And then I read something earlier this week that it's a Super Bowl effect. Hold on, let me look that up. Hang on. Stocks Super Bowl effect. Investopedia. The Super Bowl indicator. The premise of the Super Bowl indicator is the theory that Super Bowl win for a team from the... Oh, that's not what I want either. Okay. I just had to remember it from what I was reading. The first 5 days are actually a statistical tool that people can use. And so we've had the first week being pretty bearish. That's not good. Now, of course, this is just kind of being a little superstitious. Again, it's not 100%. But statistically speaking, January is not off to a very good start. And so now let's go back and we'll look at QQQ here, where we do, in fact, have... I wouldn't necessarily call this a... I mean, technically it is a false breakout because the last week of the year was higher. It made a new all-time high. And then this week, well, we've definitely been bearish. I really wish they wouldn't have done that. You know, that's the thing. Don't make an all-time high in the last week of the year. That's just weird. That's just weird for you guys to do that, you lizard people that control the stock market. Because now you're going to set up for something like this. You're going to set up for something like this. So both SPY and QQ have been down. But I think that the point I was trying to make about tech here is tech has really been a little bit stronger than the rest. And so now let's look at Microsoft. So Microsoft in particular, they had an all-time high in July. And if we're looking at the weekly time frame, let me take off the spike because that's going to confuse us. Clean charts, clean charts. If we just look at this price action here in recent times, it is holding that all-time high as a support. In other words, it broke this high and it has come back and held it once back in December, and now it is still holding it right here. So I'm good with Microsoft. I'm good with holding on to it. I don't have Microsoft personally in kind of in any kind of position. I have tech ETFs, but I don't have Microsoft nor Apple actually as an individual holding. Although, man, I really probably should have grabbed some back in October of 2022 because look at that 50% pullback around that. Not clean. Actually, it hit my retracement indicator there, but yeah, still 50%. But in recent times, you've got a support on Microsoft at 366.78. Watch that level. Don't let it close below it. I wouldn't be concerned unless it does. But so far, Microsoft is looking pretty good. While we're talking about it, I think Apple we need to talk about as well. Apple's a little more cantankerous. It's really Apple's price action is just being very, very wonky. Some could call this a double top, but I don't see any real problem with it. I mean, yeah, it did break above that high and close, but this is really testing my textbook false breakouts. The false breakout here is, yes, it did make a higher high and then close back inside the previous all-time high. Yes, it did that. Technically, it's a false breakout, but I really want to see more obvious type of false breakouts. What I'm talking about is something like Bitcoin, where Bitcoin was very evidently at its zenith in the late 2021 because of October. October basically came up and closed. Essentially, if you have a bullish trend, okay, if you have a bullish trend, people are buying. You want them to keep on buying and keep on buying higher and higher prices. If it stalls, that means there's a sign of weakness. Something should just go. If you're in a bullish trend, if you're owning something, like that's what you want to see. Big green bars. Big green bars. That is what you want to see if you're long something. When you start to see some hesitation, like we had in October of 2021, and then followed by another hesitation, those are indications that the trend is ending. And so, do we have that in Microsoft? Well, it's holding above its prior all-time high. If we go to the monthly, makes it a little bit clearer. Yeah, see, big green bar on Microsoft, followed by a red bar, and then a second month that's coming down to hold it. It's tricky now. It's going to test you a little bit, but that's still holding that level. Apple though, Apple's in the grand scheme of things. Whoops. Like I said, I don't have any Apple because I don't see an opportunity in it. But we'll see. It's still technically holding the Tinkus and the red line. It's still actually holding a bullish trend. So this week in the stock market has been a little dicey, starting to make people question a little bit. But let's just see how the month of January goes. Let's just see how it goes. All right. What are some other things to look at? All right, Casey's getting his stuff in. All right, let's see. CF is the other one that GIG wanted me to look at. So let's take a look at that one. That's CF Industries. I think you brought this up before because I've already got it annotated here. So I had a little break of the 50% down here back in the summer of 23. This is on the monthly. Let's go back up. So I can see from just looking at the recent trend from May to here, at the end of the year, it held its 50% of this initial push up. So far, it's coming and holding supports. It's slow, but it's not bearish. I think it's just being slow. I think that's still going up for you. On the monthly, yeah, I mean it's just had a pullback and it's trying to get itself up there. So again, this week definitely is a change from the bullishness that we saw at the end of the year, but just namaste. Just chill. Just chill. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's I got accused by a good friend of mine. I love it when my friends call me out. I welcome them to call me out because I don't want to have any errors in judgment because of lack of self-awareness. He called me a permabull of the stock market. He's a permabull of Bitcoin, and so he thinks that the stock market is all going to crash. I mean, God, he wanted, for as long as I've been talking to him about stocks, with COVID, he's been saying like, well, I'm not going to buy the SPY until it gets down in the hundreds. He seriously back in 2020s, he was looking for us to get like a double dip to bring it down into like about the 120 SPY. That's what he's been looking at. Maybe he'll be right one day. Who knows? I mean, he's basically operating under the premise of looking at this chart, the stock market chart, going back as a bubble. Very well may be. And he's not all in on Bitcoin, but he definitely got wrapped up into trying to short the market around summer and was doing pretty good until October. But then the nasty tendency, nasty if you're short, of the stock market to tend to go up on any given year. Uh, that happened. That being said, we had a 22% up year last year in the stock market. That's more than double the average. I think the average return on the stock market is 7 or 8% in any given year. That's the average return. We've had some weird years. I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't think it's maybe it is. Maybe it's just like personal bias. Maybe it's because we're living in this moment in time that it seems weird. But we had a very bullish 2023. I'm open to whatever happens in 2024. We could have a neutral year, 7% or less, which would annoy people to no end because they're either used to big bullish years or bad bearish years. Probably the worst thing that could probably happen is actually have a dull year. But with everything going on this year, all the turmoil and everything, I don't know if it's going to be a dull year. All right. So Microsoft and CF, I think you're good, GIG. I think you're good to hold on to it. Just hang in there, hodl. All right, let's see what else we got. If you got if you guys got stuff to look at, post it in the chat. The reason I'm here is to generate ideas and answer questions. Aimers at the gym. Do you really want to look at Peloton? AVAX. Oh, and we got to look at natural gas too. AVAX. Is this a Rise Up? Is this a crypto? Lot of crypto has been benefiting from the bullishness of Bitcoin. So, like everything, I'm going to look for a 50% retracement before I take any kind of position, and you're getting it. So, if you're long this and you bought, wait, that's crypto market cap. Hold on, AVAX, Avalanche USD. Okay, yeah, it looks the same. Okay, so I'm going to look at from October to here. Your 50% pullback is going to be 29.33. That is the support that it needs to hold. This is going to happen in anything when people come and ask me about it. It's been going up a bunch. If you came in and you told me, hey, can you look at this symbol and it's looking like this, I'm not going to buy it. I just can't. I can't do that. I don't buy something that's gone up a bunch. I'll miss it. It's fine. But I'm going to wait for a 50% pullback because there's a really good chance that you will eventually get it. I think that one thing that I've been keeping an eye on is Solana. Solana has been, of course, on everyone's mind. Looks a lot the same. A lot of these altcoins, shit coins, whatever you want to call them, from yesterday are starting to make a comeback. I'm not in any of these right now, but we'll take a look if these things pull back, and it looks like they are starting to pull back. Cardano, same thing. So now people have been asking on the stream for the last few months, basically through really December is when people started taking it. Let's be honest. People don't really take note until something looks like this, and then I get asked, "What do you think about this?" I think I'm going to wait for a pullback because you eventually do get it. You eventually do. Believe it or not, you eventually get a pullback. You're not going to miss it. Look, you're going to lose a lot more money chasing something like this than you're going to miss out on. If you don't believe me, do it a few times. I'm right. So we're getting a pullback now in all the things that are not Bitcoin, but crypto. Bitcoin remains resilient. I'm a little pissed off at my favorite Monero, but overall, to me, it's just a true crypto privacy coin store of value. But as far as your AVAX goes, specifically your pullback level is 29.33. And so that's the level where you want to look, and you might actually find an opportunity there. And so that's going to be your pullback level. Same thing on so what about Ethereum? Ethereum's been pretty resilient as well. Its pullback level is 1984.45. And again, that's the same thing that's going on with Bitcoin. I mean, I would want to see perhaps a pullback to 35K. I don't know if we'll see what happens, but I mean, the next pullback would, of course, go back to the low, and that would be 30K, 30.7K. And I really like that because then it really matches up with the inflection point of the highs of last summer. We'll see. We'll see. So I do think that crypto needs a pullback. I do, especially this ETF launch is coming. It's coming this month, apparently. I think a lot of people are concerned that it won't get approved and that would make Bitcoin crash, but I think they're kind of missing the point. The point is that all this bullishness over the last 3 months has been predicated on the ETF launching. People are trying to front run all this boomer money that's going to flow in through the ETF, which, again, at the start of the live stream I talked about, there's already ETFs out there. It's not really apparent to me how much this is going to change. But that's the narrative out there. That's the narrative out there. And God forbid you challenge it. All right. Let's look at natural gas. Natural gas is really weird. I watched a little kind of modern documentary about natural gas. Something to the effect of, if you look at the, hold on, let's see, night satellite view North America. Let me see if I can find this. So, yeah. Stupid stock photos. So this is a night view of North America. Now, of course, this is Canada up here. What is all this light up here? And I think this is in North Dakota, which has one of the lowest populations, a state that has the lowest populations in the country. And yet it has all this light right here. What is this? That is natural gas being flared. We produce so much natural gas in the United States that we literally have to waste it. And so I thought that, the laws of supply and demand were going to kind of catch up. But really, it's only a problem. The problem with natural gas is it's hard to transport. It's a gas. It doesn't really contain very well. You can liquefy it, but then you have to chill it, and that takes a lot of energy and costs a lot of money. And so natural gas is very cheap because we basically waste it here in the United States. In Europe, natural gas is a problem. They don't have it, and so they can't get it from Russia anymore. So it's a weird supply and demand that goes on with natural gas. But from a technical standpoint, to me, it's also still weird. I thought that we were going to have a little breakout back in October, but that didn't work. I didn't put a position on there. It almost makes sense that this is a low. This would be a potential low on natural gas, but who knows? Who knows? I will say this, though. Remember at the beginning of the live stream, I talked about my TS recap concept, the what we're using for WBA. Do I still have that? I think I deleted my notes on that. Oh, well. So, essentially, you had a bearish trend from November, held the Tinkinson red line, held it, broke above it, bow, right there. That's what I'm talking about. I'm late to see. This is on the daily chart. But this is what a TS recap should ideally do. It should have this first impulse, is what I call it. That's because it comes off the low, comes back down, and holds that 50% level, that Tinkinson recapture, that little quick 50%. And so actually, natural gas has started to turn around for sure. It has found a bottom. That's good. And that was in the last week of December. I got lazy at the end of the year, so I wasn't paying attention to that. Let me see what UNG. This would be how I would express it. I would just do UNG. It's basically the same thing on December the 20th. You would look at the natural gas futures. You say, like, okay. But it's also It's also did a Tinkinson recapture. That being the low, it's kind of wonky there with the price action. That's why I like to look at the closest underlying that I can. That's why I like to look at futures and then try to express it in something else. I don't try to chart ETFs that much because they're going to be distorted like this, and they're going to be gappy as well because they're not as thin, not as voluminous with trades. All right. So natural gas looks like it's found a bottom and it's going up. All right. What's this, Jen? Monero Dash and Zs face centralized expulsion. Officially announced the OKX. Binance was first start delisting privacy coins, and now regulars clamping down. Yeah, this has always been kind of the risk because, I mean, essentially, crypto was supposed to be an alternative to the existing financial system. So privacy coins are essentially actual crypto. They actually have the closest use case. But a lot of the things that I've criticized Bitcoin people for is that the blockchain is public, and they've actually told me, "Oh, that's a feature," because if regulators, if law enforcement can look at the blockchain and track down criminals, then they're going to let it. They're going to fly. So, could this be the start of the end of privacy coins? I doubt it. I mean, it just we'll see. That does explain why it's down, though. Other than the fact that just everything is pulling back as well. All right. All right, let's see. Let's go back through and check up. We're getting to the end here. So, WBA canceled dividends. So, the market needed to digest that. When did they cancel dividends? Sorry, I'm catching up on this right here. When you position your trades like this in WA, do you use spot or do you buy options? Ike Insurance, I use shares. I have traded options. I will occasionally use options, but this is a position based on a weekly chart, and I'm not concerned with trying to double my portfolio this year. If I can beat the stock market, I did well. If I get, double-digit returns, 10, 11, 12%, I did well. Options have this attractiveness of leverage, is what they are. They're basically leverage. But I don't like the theta decay. And also, I don't really need the leverage. I think it would be fine to just have this as a larger position. So, no, with WBA, this was shares. This was shares. Because if I was going to take options for a weekly trade, I'd be taking them out to 2025 or even 2026. Most of the people that use options have most that watch my live stream, they're on Discord, basically are consuming media are younger people that started basically around 2020 or 2021, and I don't know if maybe now they do, but originally I don't think they knew that there were options that went out months. I think they just thought that options were things that you took till next week, little lotto tickets based on the stocks. But no, this isn't an investment trade, whatever you want to call it, but it's in shares. It's in shares. All right. Many are expecting a new all-time high before the halving. That's where that's the thing. After the ETF, Bitcoin bulls are convinced that the halving is going to play out like all the times before, and it is going to give them another bull run, and that's what they're banking on. They're not worried about what happens around the ETF. They're presuming that the halving has created bull runs in the past and will create, and maybe it's true. We're living in a very, very, very interesting time in Bitcoin's price action. We are, because all of the Bitcoin bulls are solidly aligned of a certain narrative. Maybe they'll be correct, but I have this aversion to everyone thinking something. Very often, what everyone is thinking doesn't happen. And maybe that's just my kind of ego speaking. I don't think I'm smarter than everyone else. I don't think I'm smarter than anyone in particular. But I just look at a lot of the memes. I look at the memes. And the memes are just so indicative of people that are trying to force the narrative on everyone else. Maybe it'll be true. But it would be weird for me if it was true. Does that make sense? If everyone took an opinion and then that opinion ended up being correct, that would be weird in the history of trading, of markets. It really would be. Because more often than not, people are wrong. That's why things are priced as they are. That's why back in 2020, beginning of the year 2022, no one was trying to buy Bitcoin because the price was low. I was identifying the points to buy it back in early 2022, but now everyone's like, "Oh, now's the time to buy." Why did you wait so long? Why did you wait so long and then create these narratives now? Were the narratives less true back then? No. It's just that price was down. So a lot of these positive bullish narratives are not forward looking. They're present looking. They're looking at the price right now having gone up a lot in the last year, and now everyone's excited about it. This just happens all the time. Happens on all the things. And people get burned a lot because they look to justify the price rather than actually speculating what is to come. So, all right. What is BJ? Are you asking if I want one? Or is that a stock? Oh, BJ's wholesale. My bad. I don't really see an opportunity here. You know, back in the COVID low to the all-time high, the 50% of the big trend is all the way down here. I'm sure if you're long it, you don't want to get down there. I don't really see an opportunity. I mean, if you guys haven't seen my live stream before, I focus on opportunities. I don't sit here and draw triangles and things like that. I look for opportunity. You know, that we had a lot of good opportunities last year, which I'm still in. Home Depot was a 50% pullback. MetLife was another 50% pullback. Coca-Cola, Raytheon. I mean, these are all opportunities. And that's what I look for. And so I love it when people come to me and they, that like earlier, the AVAX that someone pointed out to me, that's an opportunity. But honestly, if I was going to look to buy this stock, I would wait until it pulled back to here. It may not do that. You could be like Casey. And Casey, he loves his breakouts, which we're going to look at in just a second. If I drilled down and I had to come up with an opinion on BJ's, I would wait until it gets above the cloud right here, back in the 70s, but you're still in this consolidation. I would wait. If you're holding on to it, continue to hold. But I buy when I think there's an opportunity, and I don't see one. Let's see. Does this pay a dividend? It does not. All right. Look at Casey's, and again, last call. Oh, yeah. BG, last call. Get in your symbols to look at. BGFV, Big Five Sporting Goods Corporation. This is, what do we say? This is in the big, scary Valley of Risk. Valley of Risk is basically when something is just going down. Essentially, the corollary to my 50% technique. Oh, wow, this thing really popped off in 2021 and got people in, didn't it? So when it failed to hold 24.18, that is bad. Valley of Risk is basically when you buy something, it doesn't hold the 50%, and it just keeps going down and annoying the crap out of you. Because if you hold on to it, it's going to keep going down. If you sell it, that's going to be the moment it turns. Yeah, lower highs, lower lows. You just don't know when this is going to come back. You do have a Tinkerson recap right here, but again, as opposed to WBA, it's not really happening at like the major low of 65 cents. These are really hard to analyze for people because I know that when people ask this, they're probably bag holding it. But that's why I call it the valley of risk. It's the dark valley. You don't know what to do. I just try to avoid these situations as much as possible. What's the tool I'm showing for analysis? This right here for the 50% is a fib retracement in TradingView. And like I said, I tried to keep things simple and I just took off all the other fibs. I've studied them before in the decade or more plus that I've been trading. I've just found the 50% to be far, far more powerful. It just works. It just works. All right. KC, let's look for some KC breakouts. You know what? I'm thinking KC. I think I need to do a KC ETF maybe this year. Actually, last year would have been the year to do it, being so bullish. Maybe buy one share of everything and just see how it turns out, or maybe balance it, because I mean, in a bullish year, breakouts are going to be great. New all-time high, go man go. KGS, oof, that's going up. And ETRN. I just like pullbacks, but we've discussed this before. ETRN looks different. 1086. So we're breaking out of that high. Yeah, I suppose is this the 52 week? Yeah, it is the 52 week high. But you got a lot of resistances here. Got a lot of highs right there. But I mean, it could pull back up to here. What's up, Beach Bum? Good to see you, man. Good to see the real you. I don't know if I'm sure you deal with this all the time, but I'm always getting friend requests from you, just like people are always getting friend requests from me. But I know there's only one of you, and I tell them that they're dirty scammers and to go away. Just means that people listen to us, so that's good. That's good. All right, I have some pizza calling my name for dinner, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining me this Friday. Have a good January. Take it easy. Take it easy. Like I said, January can be a crazy month. Stay positive. Stay positive. Don't let the market kind of fool you a little bit. Just kind of dial back your risk a little bit. Take smaller positions in January, because the worst thing is to dig yourself into a hole. Trust me, from experience, that is what I've learned over my many years becoming a trader boomer. Trade wisely. And we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.